Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. So I'm right now farming for the Ancient Mandible, one of the rare items that are required for you to actually get your max level major trophies, and these are your combat based trophies. Now, unlike your trophies for your items where three of them will get you a possible three markers up for you to craft items, this is a little bit more different, and I'm going to explain it in several steps, right? So first of all, when it comes to when it comes to I had to change targets quickly over there because he goes down before I kill him. When there's 3 or 4 people, this becomes way more simple. You just attack the boss and you don't worry about anything else. If you are going to knock anything else out, okay. So let's just get to this whole nitty-gritty of using trophies. So the trophies have a major impact on you, especially if you are mutation runner. Now mutation 10 is the highest that you can get, and considering your level is going to come into play at that point, this is how the thing is going to affect you. So first of all, mutation level 10, 625, you have a massive reduction against them because you're no longer overpowering them. You also have a massive intake of damage from them. Now your trophies actually offset that exact same thing that has been put against you in terms of play. You take less damage from enemies when you have the trophy, and you do more damage to them. So basically it levels you up against them. So standard is it gives you a 3% on either side. 3% more damage against those enemies and 3% less intake from those enemies. So if you're calculating it, that's a 3 and 3. That is with your minor trophy. Then if you move up to your basic, it doesn't go 3 and 3, it now becomes 4 and 4, and that is per trophy. And if you get one more, it goes to 5 and 5. Okay, so let me explain to you how this here would affect you as a player. Say for example, you're fighting an enemy in Lazarus, right, at mutation 10, and the enemy does 3k damage to you per tick, right? That means that the damage you take is exactly 3000 for every hit that is dealt against you. So 3k plus 3k plus 3k, that's how it's actually going to be added against you. And obviously, as I'm stating, it's 3k. So count it as a 10-second period just so that you know exactly how bad it can be. This is a DPS standpoint. Obviously, I'm not talking about a healer or talking about a tank. Tank is going to take almost no damage because he can tank the damage and he can output a certain amount of damage. Okay, so as you can see, they're offering that whole thing for 800 gold to the tanks. Another thing to note, tanks and healers are the most rare individuals in New World. a tank who is a pure tank who will actually help you through a dungeon is worth more than what you are charging him to go into the dungeon. And that is even at M10 when you're going to charge 5 to 6k. The tank is worth more than your entire team. If your tank cannot play the dungeon, you cannot play the dungeon effectively because the tank holds that much of damage. When you overpower a dungeon and you have that massive advantage, it's a 550 dungeon and y'all are 625, you're going to run over the entire dungeon. That isn't a problem, and then the tank is back in the play of being needed. But when you aren't 625 and your entire team isn't at the 625 level, your healer and your tank are totally needed. If your tank falls out of rhythm, your entire team dies. If your healer doesn't sustain your tank, your entire team dies. So as you can see, healer and tank are two of the most important players, and I'm going on adjacents here just because I saw that and I thought it would be a good thing to iron out in the middle of this. The healer is worth the same amount as your entire team. The tank is worth the same amount as your entire team. So if you aren't a healer or a tank and you're selling places, remember you can only make 2 slots worth of money and make it off both your DPS. Advertise healer and tank free, and then advertise for DPS. There are too many DPS, there are too little tanks, and there are too little when it comes to healers and DPS, right? Just too little of the two. I misplaced my words and I forgot which one I said. So yeah, that's how it goes. So DPS are not one in a million, they a dime in a dozen, right? And healers are a needle in a haystack. Tanks are a needle in a haystack. By charging them, you have, there's it. M8 looking for member, 620 plus free for the tank. The only reason I'm knocking him out is it makes it easier for me to tap when things respawn up here. Sorry about that, I went off again. So yeah, nonetheless, that was what I was saying about tanks and healers. So let's get back to the trophies. So as I said, let's say that the average damage to a DPS, was the most common player, is 3k. When it comes to a healer, they'll take slightly more damage because they generally go with light armor, so about 4.5k. And if you go down to the tank, they take minimal amounts of damage. They do maybe about 100 to 200 per hit, and that's because of sneaking damage past the shield, where they have that 50% stability story. That's how the damage is coming in. So let's move a little bit more forward, or it's actually 0 damage for some tanks, but let's go into it for this whole idea of why you need the trophy. The trophy will reduce you by 3% if you have a single trophy, as I said, 4% if you have the basic, and 5% if you have just a single, but you're going to have 3 because everybody is going after 3 houses, even if it's the cheapest one you can purchase. Okay, so let's move on to the next crazy part of this whole story. Yeah, this guy's in there, they ruin the entire Okay, so I'm still getting caught up on the finer details. So let's hit the next part of this. So instantly, by having the trophy, as I said, you've taken a reduction in the amount of damage you're going to take by 5% by having the major. Right, minor is 3%, and as I said, 3k is the standard. So let's work this out with all three for each of the scenarios against M10 against an enemy who does 3k. Now, theoretically speaking, there is an enemy who does that. It's not every single enemy, and he's a rare enemy. He's not someone who you're just going to find everywhere and anytime when it comes to doing dungeons. Okay. So if he does 3k to you standard without any trophies equipped, when you equip a minor trophy, you're going to reduce his damage by 9%. Okay, so 9% reduction goes as follows. 3000 minus 9% is going to equal to something like 10%, no, 1% is 30, so times 3 is 90, times 3 is 270. So 270 damage comes off that total. And as I said, take it over a 10-second period so you understand exactly what that trophy is doing for you in the short term, because 1 second is only 270. 270 is like a joke to most of our pools where we have 3000 and we're healing for about 100 every second, so doesn't make that much of a difference. But counting it as 270, count the entire minute that is being reduced. When you count out the 270, you make the total that you're taking 2730, right? That means over 10 seconds it's 27,030 versus 30,000. Now it's a big figure, 2,700 reduction. You've made a big knockdown on that entire damage. I may have made a mistake in my maths when I said 27,030, it's 27,300. So yeah, that's where you are in terms of your overall damage for that time. That's enough time to equate for the healer to have a slight break. If you were just doing pure DPS on that enemy, it's enough for your healing to account for quite a bit. As I said, you do about 100 healing per second on your own from your food buffs, and if you're counting all of that together, 100 every few seconds, there you go, 100 reduction, working everything out to that end of it. That's 10,000 from your own healing. You just needed 17,000 from the healer. Healer does about 1,000 every second, and you're now 100% safe. Nothing is going to kill you as a pure hardcore damage dealing machine. And that's because that's the timed run. Remember, this is perfectly for a sacred ground, and what is going to help you recover, what you're going to have to hold off against without it. So add in the sacred ground as 1,000 per second. That's 1,000 minus 1,000 times 10, that's 10,000 plus your 10,000. No, so not your 10,000, yeah, 1,000. That's 1,100 knocked off the total of your damage, and that's from your side just because you put on the trophy. Although that 1,100 is there all the time, you saving quite a bit in total damage that you're going to take, because the damage intake per second has reduced, right? You actually are taking a lot less damage. It accumulates a lot slower over time. Something like a quick healing pot can put in a serious 3 or 4k into you instantly. 4k out, that's because I'm so large on the health pool. Uh, 3k out on other individuals. So yeah, there you go. Right, so we've got these nice health pools that are coming out for us. We've got 14k taken care of from us. If we had 30,000, we needed to take care of another 16,000. It's quite big. That's one whole tank's worth of damage. So yeah, that's basically a death for most players. You were guaranteed to die if you didn't have the trophy. So some people have that full 300 and a massive stack in a single format. Example, if you had all your stats in strength and 300 in constitution, you'll have something like 14,500. In that case, you literally save yourself by 1 or 200. That's what's left for you at the end of 10 seconds. 1 or 200 damage that you circumvented. Does it sound like a big figure? No. Is it a big figure? Absolutely. The amount that you've saved yourself in that total amount of time could be the difference between dying or killing a boss, because they are quite heavy, and I will explain the other side of this effect. They also affect the amount of damage you're going to output. Now, you were short against the enemy. Let's say, for example, you were doing 1,000 against the enemy, because I like using easy figures. That same enemy was doing 3k on you. He has a pool of exactly 30,000, just like what your 10-second damage intake from him is going to be. You can pull 1,000 on him per hit. So obviously there's 5 of you, so it's 5,000, so it's going to be a 6-second kill. Alright? Makes it quite simple. But, okay, wait, no, let's make it difficult. Let's say that you guaranteed have to do 1,000 on him for each and every second for 12 seconds so that you can kill him. So 12,000 health per person times a total of 5, that'll give you 60,000. Massive health pool. If you are only going to apply damage to him at 1,000, you'll never kill him, because in 10 seconds he'll have you down, and when you pass the 12 second, he's going to kill you. You get it? That's just with the first one. Now you increase yourself by 3%, right? Actually, I'm right. 3, and that's 9. So 9 times 90%. 3 times 3 is 9. 9% more. You're gonna do 90 extra damage. So it's gonna be 1,090. And over that minute, it's 900 excess damage that was placed on him. Almost one whole hit coming out. In the 11 second, the hit that you apply on him is going to be the difference between death and keeping him there. And the 12 second is a guaranteed hit with just 100 to knock out. If one person dies, the next person the next person can take care of your damage in that instance. So there you go, something to balance out your entire balance sheet for damaging a boss. The next one to count in your entire equation is going to come from, sorry about this, my throat's a bit raspy from all this talking. The next thing that you're going to think about is if you increase to 4%, and then if you increase all the way up to 5%. Now 4% is just 1% more, but you may not think of it as a big thing. In terms of your damage output, that's 30 extra. That's 1,200. That means all the way down to the 11th second, you're going to survive, because that 11th hit is going to come in. You're going to sustain a little bit from your heal. Your potion is going to save you a little bit, and you can still pull off another hit on your boss. You've actually won out that entire waiting game with the boss for that second, just because you applied it at the right moment. Right, and I'm not counting renders and things into this here for that equation, because they aren't really important for the equation that I'm going after. So yeah, there you go. You've actually just pulled out a win from a lost situation. You turn the tables for yourself. You took an advantage where you had a disadvantage. Hate archers. Okay, so there's that one down. Sorry about that, I'll get back to this. I know that I was going to say the 4% story, and there's a small increase in the amount of damage reduction. From 2,700, that 1% extra becomes 4. So that 30 becomes a 40 per second, and that makes a massive difference to what you're going to have to sustain. just fantastic. Okay, as soon as I get back to the top, I'll complete this. Sorry about the craziness. I just like to give a little bit of visual feed in the background. I can always sit still and do these videos, but that just like takes out the fun interest in it, and it kind of makes the boring sections of the video more boring than they need to be. Because like this, you can see when I go quiet, there's something to look at. When I'm not, there isn't. Okay, so back to this whole thing. So when you increase it to the next level, to the basic trophy, you're adding 1% more. In terms of per second damage, as I said, 1% is 4 times 3, that's 12. 12%, 12 times 30 is 360, that's 3,600. One whole extra second of damage that you can take, right? That's a massive reduction. From 16,000 minusing 3,000 pulls you all the way down to 13. Pulling out the 600 pulls you to 12,400. You have almost 1,400 left. 1,000 added to you, you have your 11 seconds to kill the enemy. In terms of your damage output, you had yourself going at 1,000, so now you had 40 per, you had 120. You have 1,200 being added to your stack for the entire combat that you do. In the 11th second, when the difference between life and death pitches up for you, you hitting the enemy at that point gives you the advantage. You've pulled everything to the last second where you have the advantage at long last, and it's a win. It's an easy win at this point. So right, there we go. And that is just with the second level trophy. With the third level trophy, you go up all the way to 5%. And this is for a single trophy. It was a reduction of 150, right? 150 times 3, that's 450. 4,500 reduction in your damage. Your 16,000 becomes 1,000, sorry, not 1,000, 11,500. 11,500 leaves your 14,000 with more than 3,000 to go. That means that you had another hit plus another hit after that they would kill you. So your 11th second isn't your do or die. Your 11th second is now just an extra second added to your entire fighting time. And as I said, that was at 1,000. And your damage has now been increased to 50 per second, which makes it... I'm making a mistake, aren't I? Oh no, it becomes 150, 1,500 extra damage over time. 1,500 means the 12th second is out and half of the 11th second. So in the 11th second, the enemy is down. You've made such a big difference to your entire fight. You have that advantage. Your healer has a cooldown period. You can recover in a few seconds, get your health pools back up. Everybody can be back into format. And when you count this here, for a full 60-second encounter, you take a huge amount of reductions, because you're going to take something like as I was saying, 1,000 damage that you're applying, and you're going to add 50 to it. That's 50. And when you times it by 60, it doesn't become a small figure. It becomes 3,000. No. By 50 was 1,500 for 20 seconds. For 10 seconds, so 2 would be 3,000. 3,000 times 3. 9,000 excess damage in a minute. That's a huge amount. That's enough to take out a massive chunk of a boss, and each one of you can do it. Obviously you can do way more than that as an individual, and if you count that as your total from everybody in your team, everything coming together, that basically says that if you don't run major trophies, that is the loss that you take. And obviously that leads to where I am right now, looking for the match for a legendary trophy. I've been struggling for it for over 6 hours, and I decided to explain why it's so important to actually do it. This was actually inspired by my team last night. We were having some crazy conversations about just some easy rudiment. That is just fantastic. Came out of nowhere, took him out, PvP flagged. Sorry about that. Just a little bit of a rage on that one. Trust me, it becomes ridiculously unfair when you think about how long you have to spend here just to do it. And the fact that it's only if you do enough damage makes it even more infuriating. If if you want my honest opinion on it when it comes to this here, they're basically telling you as a player, we don't care how much you struggle. We don't care whether the game is unfair. We want it to be unfair. And we're not just going to make it slightly unfair for you, we're going to make it even more unfair than that. So when you're waiting for a particular item to drop, we're going to put that into a loot luck table, and we're going to make sure that your luck is as low as possible. But you have to have a hit on that enemy for 50% of its health, right? Or you have to be the first one on the hit or the last one on the hit to get the kill. Makes it kind of unfair, makes it extremely unfair on the general population of the game for those who are farming these things, such as myself and one or two others who are definitely going to be more than irritated with this type of luck. RNG, when it becomes too difficult, can be a major killer for a game. Honestly, this game isn't fantastic to start with, so if they're hoping that RNG holds players in, you're going to get completionists who are going to go for it. And when they quit, trust me, that 5-star rating that you want on your game, I'm counting it as 5-star, but I'm just saying 5-star for the sake of it. I know that some games are 10-star rated because you can get up to a 10-star rating. You can count on your audience giving you 2 stars because you've infuriated the player and they're going to have nothing better to do than to do that. Improve your play, not improve the drag time of your game. So yeah, that's just one piece of advice that I could give. Honestly, this is like so irritating. I'm looking at it. This here would be the bottom of the circle, a perfect circumference. The line between the tiles should be perfectly lined. It isn't. The line is to the right. Just driving me a little bit nuts. I know that it would actually intersect directly down this line, coming down all the way here. This is in perfect line with that, but that isn't. So yeah, terrible workmanship. Yeah, I shouldn't be shocked. It's Amazon Studios. Okay, just losing track of everything and back in. So yeah, that was the whole idea behind it. As I said, it makes a big difference to your overall play. This is just me blabbing on in the end, getting distracted a little bit. But if you're going to go for these trophies, remember they can make that big of a difference to you. They can mean the difference between you dying or your entire team dying or beating a boss. You know, you get that irritating boss in Dynasty, the final one, the Empress, the Dragon Empress. If you have to fight her and your team goes down, that last person fighting inside who's gonna put that bleed, that one bleed that was missing to kill her, could come from that trophy. That 1% extra to your basic trophy could make the difference between it being a clutch victory and a definite victory. So yeah, that's just about what I'm gonna say for now, and I hope that you all do enjoy, and catch you all in the next one.